Prabhupada wrote other letters revealing his plans to travel to India. Our life is very short. The Krishna consciousness movement is not meant for fulfilling one's personal ambition, but it is a serious movement for the whole world. I am therefore going to the Eastern Hemisphere, beginning from Japan. We are going 4 in a party, and all of us are sannyasis. In this old age, I am going with this party just to set an example to my disciples who have already taken recently the sannyas order. In preparation for Prabhupada's trip to India, Prabhupada's secretary, Devananda, now Devananda Swami, asked him questions from the immigration form, mechanically reading the questions and filling in the answers as Prabhupada replied. Have you ever committed any criminal acts? Devananda asked, reading from the form. Prabhupada's eyes widened. You are asking your spiritual master if he did anything criminal? And he turned to Bhagavan. You see, I am simply surrounded by people I cannot trust. It is a dangerous situation. Prabhupada sat in his garden the night before his departure. Don't be disturbed, he told the disciples with him. We are not going backward, we are going forward. I will reveal everything to you. I will rectify. His strong words and criticisms, he said, had been to enlighten his disciples, to warn them and show them the subtleties of Maya. Karandara mentioned that the temple leaders had arranged that only a few devotees go with Prabhupada the next day to the airport. Where did this idea come from? Prabhupada asked. Srimad Bhagavatam instructs that when a saintly person leaves your company, all present should follow the departing vehicle as far as possible until it is out of sight. So the next day, all the devotees all accompanied Prabhupada, chanting and dancing behind him through the long corridors of the Los Angeles International Airport. After many months with them, he was now leaving. Devotees cried. Prabhupada, dressed in new garments, his head freshly shaven, looked effulgent. He sat in the departure lounge, head held high, as grave and unfathomable as ever. He was embarking on a new adventure for Lord Chaitanya. He was old and might not return, he said, but his disciples should continue the Krishna consciousness movement seriously. If you follow this new schedule, he said, you will keep Maya from attacking. And he left them. So we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, chapter 9, text 16, followed by text 17. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 16. Ata Vrishala Rajapani Purusha Pashur Ashkra Shavena Devim Badrakalim Yakshamanas Tad Abhimantritam Asim Atikarala Nishitam Uparate. Well, I'll just read that the one time because it's not the. It's. How you say that, but it's not the one to be repeated. So, translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. At this time, one of the thieves, acting as the chief priest, was ready to offer the blood of Jada Bharata whom they imagined to be an animal man, to the goddess Kali to drink as a liquor. He therefore took up a very fearsome sword, which was very sharp, and consecrating it by the mantra of Bhadra Kali, raised it to kill Jada Bharata. Text 17. All the rogues and thieves who had made arrangements for the worship of goddess Kali were low-minded and bound to the modes of passion and ignorance. They were overpowered by the desire to become very rich. Therefore they had the audacity to disobey the injunctions of the Vedas, so much so that they were prepared to kill Jada Bharata, a self-realized soul, born in a Brahmana family. Due to their envy, these dacoits brought him before the goddess Kali for sacrifice. Such people are always addicted to envious activities, and therefore they dared to try to kill Jada Bharata. Jada Bharata was the best friend of all living entities. He was no one's enemy, and he was always absorbed in meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was born of a good Brahmana father, and killing him was forbidden, even though he might have been an enemy or aggressive person. In any case, there was no reason to kill Jada Bharata, and the goddess Kali could not bear this. She immediately understood that these sinful dacoits were about to kill a great devotee of the Lord. Suddenly the deity's body burst asunder, and the goddess Kali personally emerged from it in a body burning with an intense and intolerable effulgence. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. According to the Vedic injunctions, only an aggressor can be killed. If a person comes with an intent to kill, one can immediately take action and kill in self-defense. It is also stated that one can be killed if he comes to set fire to the home or to pollute or kidnap one's wife. Lord Ramachandra killed the entire family of Ravana because Ravana kidnapped his wife, Sita Devi. However, killing is not sanctioned in the Shastras for other purposes. The killing of animals in sacrifice to the demigods, who are expansions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is sanctioned for those who eat meat. This is a kind of restriction for meat eating. In other words, the slaughter of animals is also restricted by certain rules and regulations in the Vedas. Considering these points, there was no reason to kill Jada Bharata, who was born in a respectable, highly exalted Brahmana family. He was a God-realized soul and a well-wisher to all living entities. The Vedas did not at all sanction the killing of Jada Bharata by rogues and thieves. Consequently, the goddess Bhadra Kali emerged from the deity to give protection to the Lord's devotee. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura explains that due to the Brahman effulgence of such a devotee as Jada Bharata, the deity was fractured. Only thieves and rogues in the modes of passion and ignorance and maddened by material opulence offer a man in sacrifice before the goddess Kali. This is not sanctioned by the Vedic instructions. Presently, there are many hundreds and thousands of slaughterhouses throughout the world that are maintained by a puffed-up population, mad for material opulences. Such activities are never supported by the Bhagavad school. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmalitam Yena Sritasmai Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master has opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto such a spiritual master. And I'll read the two translations. Verse text 16. At this time, one of the thieves, acting as the chief priest, was ready to offer the blood of Jada Bharata, whom they imagined to be an animal man, to the goddess Kali to drink as a liquor. He therefore took up a very fearsome sword, which was very sharp, and consecrating it by the mantra of Bhadrakali, raised it to kill Jadabharata. All the rogues and thieves who had made arrangements for the worship of, this is text 17 now, all the rogues and thieves who had made arrangements for the worship of goddess Kali were low-minded and bound to the modes of passion and ignorance. They were overpowered by the desire to become very rich. Therefore, they had the audacity to disobey the injunctions of the Vedas, so much so that they were prepared to kill Jadabharata, a self-realized soul born in a Brahmana family. Due to their envy, these dacoits brought him before the goddess Kali for sacrifice. Such people are always addicted to envious activities, and therefore they dared to try to kill Jadabharata. Jadabharata was the best friend of all living entities. He was no one's enemy, and he was always absorbed in meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He was born of a good Brahmana father, and killing him was forbidden, even though he might have been an enemy or aggressive person. In any case, there was no reason to kill Jadabharata, and the goddess Kali could not bear this. She could immediately understand that these sinful dacoits were about to kill a great devotee of the Lord. Suddenly the deity's body burst asunder, and the goddess Kali personally emerged from it, in the body burning with an intense and intolerable effulgence. So here we have Jadabharata being found by these dacoits to be sacrificed for the purpose of the leader wanting to have children and personal reasons, basically. And these people were, these thieves, dacoits, are obviously not very, not much morals there, and goodness left in them. They're selfish-minded, and find such a person. Well, they find Jadabharata, who is, they consider an animal man because of his appearance, and well, it's certainly not sanctioned to kill a devotee of the Lord. And he wasn't aggressing, as it explains, only as aggressors it's okay to kill. Probably not in this day and age. I think you get in trouble for that now, but we can certainly use self-defense. But and like Lord Ramachandra killed Ravana's family because of the offence of taking his wife inappropriately. And there's one of the points here I see in that with Jadabharata, he appears, he did this purposely, appeared as a madman or incomprehensible, didn't seem like he was deaf and dumb and didn't understand anything. So these people judged him to be, and he wasn't clean. He didn't wash and physically care for his body. So he appeared to them like some backwards animal man. But it just goes to show, but yet he was born of a Brahmana family, of a highly praised Brahmana family. But it just goes to show we can't prejudge. Just because someone appears a certain way, we don't know what's really under and behind them, what's really going on in their minds and their intelligence. And so Jadabharata was so fully, absolutely devoted. His whole life was devoted to the Lord, to Krishna, that he used that not caring for his body and appearing dull to stop being disturbed in his Krishna consciousness practice. Yes, so we mustn't judge people, and so whenever we're going out, and about and meeting people, they might offend us, or we might not like what they say or do, but we don't know what's their background and who they are, and what's their relationship to God or Krishna. They could be a devotee that we don't know. I mean, yes, many of us are. Many are devotees that don't know the name of Krishna, but are serving God in their own ways. So we need to treat all people with that kind of respect, and of course Krishna is within them all. So if we treat people as though they are Krishna because they have Krishna, they are all servants of Krishna. Even these even the sinful ones that appear to be doing wrong are Krishna's devotees, like Shishupala, and who was there was Jadai and Jadai, and no, sorry, names are going out the window. The two doorkeepers of Vaikunta then that were cursed to come down as demons and had 3 lives as demons. It's Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, who appear to be demons and doing great harm, but they are actually Krishna's devotees. So again, even the so-called demons can be Krishna's devotees. So it's good to remember in all situations to treat others with respect and not prejudge them and treat them any worse because of your judgments. So the story with Jada Bharata had been in a previous life, heard in the earlier chapters, as a great king, and then he left his family. I mean, he was a great devotee and eventually left his family to devote fully to his practices in the forest. But then he got lured by, he saw this deer. Well, there was this mother deer frightened by a lion who raced across the river and in the process birthed her baby prematurely in her fear of the tiger, and she ended up running away and dying with fear. And the little deer, Jada Bharat, Maharaj Bharata, then rescued this little deer and became more and more attached to the deer, so much so that he started being more focused on the deer, and his spiritual practices were sidelined, and his total concern for caring for this little deer. And then at the point of death, all his thoughts were of the well-being of the deer. And so, of course, in the next body, as Karma and Krishna fulfilled, we come back, and the last thoughts of the moment before death. And obviously Krishna didn't want to rescue him and take him in this point. It was an example that he actually did then come back as a deer in a deer's body in his next life. But he had the unusual benediction that he could remember his past life as a deer. He remembered his life as a great devotee of Krishna, and he remembered his downfall. And so at the opportunity as a deer, he left his mother and he went to the place where he had grown up. And with great devotees, and there he served in a body's deer, but served the devotees. And so eventually, when the deer's body died, and he took up a new body as Jada Bharata in this exalted Brahmana family. But in order to keep he didn't want to fall down again. So, and to not be disturbed in his spiritual practice, he chose to be like a fool, where he appeared like he didn't understand anything. And his father tried to teach him how to care for himself and educate him, but he was only focused on Krishna, but not speaking. So it was all internal, couldn't be seen, so that he wouldn't be disturbed in his focus on Krishna. And then it comes to this point here where he is found by these dacoits who totally did misunderstand him, but he had such faith. He wasn't concerned. Obviously, he didn't put up any fight when the dacoits, thieves, found him. He put all his trust, his faith was all in Krishna, and that faith saved him. Kali then burst forth at the time as he's about to be killed. So that's the kind of faith that we as devotees want to develop, that we know that in all situations that we are protected. Of course, Prahlad Maharaj is another example of a devotee who had such total, complete faith in Krishna that he was tortured in so many ways, and yet always saved. He could not be killed, and eventually the ultimate saving was God himself, Krishna, coming in the form of Nrsimhadev and killing the sinful Hiranyakashipu, his father. So yes, when Krishna wants to save us, save his devotees, he will come, or find a way, whether it's him or in Vajradhara, it's coming to save him. So yes, great teacher for us to have that faith. Remember in those times. Actually, I have this. There's a lovely quote about worry. If we are worrying, then we are acting as atheists. So worry is the opposite of faith, and so again, it's the opposite of God, Krishna consciousness. If we are worried, then so we need. If we have that faith in God, there's nothing to be worried about. So and have that faith be God conscious, not atheist. Worry. I wanted to read a little bit from the Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Has a few verses that are appropriate here, mentioned Jada Bharata. So this is chapter 3, text 170, or part 2. The great souls who spontaneously serve the names of Lord Hari fear to reveal the vast treasure of his confidential devotional service, so they behave in peculiar ways to show their own faults and unhappiness. Commentary. What about advanced worshippers like Bharata Maharaja, whose impending sinful reactions apparently kept going on? We should understand that when saintly devotees like Bharata, deeply absorbed in the moods of loving service to the Lord, seem to exhibit material attachment, as when Bharata became obsessed with the care of a fawn, and when they seem to fall into bad association and miserable conditions, as when Bharata took his next birth as an animal, They are only pretending to be materially affected in order to keep the confidential moods of devotional service hidden from public view. Such devotees would rather be treated with undeserved contempt than honoured and worshipped. So there's that explanation of Jada Bharata doing this on purpose, as the author's stating, to keep the devotional service confidential, so it's revealed not to everybody. Of course, through the Shastra, it's revealed to those of us who are in a position able to read, understand, or hear the Shastra. The next text, 171. All the devotees of the Lord are freed from contamination and misery simply by the Sankirtana of his names. Yet some devotees, as disturbed by compassion as the Lord himself, act in these ways to teach people civilized behavior. Commentary. Shouldn't advanced devotees, in order to deliver the world from ignorance, let everyone see their greatness? Yes, but the so-called anomalous behavior of Vaishnavas, like Bharata Maharaja, is in fact their way of teaching sadachara, civilized human behavior. By the examples of their own lives, they show the consequences of violating the laws of God and material nature. For if people fail to learn how to act according to civilized standards, their hearts will remain contaminated by sinful desires, and they will never become inclined toward the Lord's devotional service. So yes, example. So this is Jada Bharata, who was such an exalted devotee, but was doing this on purpose to teach us. We need examples of how to behave and how to follow God, and many paths. So this is one, and for us to take lessons from. 172. As Bharata and others showed the fault of bad association, Yudhishthira and others the fault of gambling, Nriga and others the fear caused by taking a Brahmana's property, pure souls generally use their own behavior to teach the people. Bharata Maharaja showed by his own life that the danger of wrong association, although almost perfectly devoted and renounced, he was distracted into caring for a newborn deer, and therefore had to suffer birth as a deer. A similar case is that of Sabari Rishi, who was deviated from meditation by seeing two fish engaged in sex. In the opinion of the Vaikuntha Dutas, however, in reality, these elevated souls were faultless. So yes, we take the learning from these examples, these great devotees. We don't necessarily copy all their behaviours. We need to see and discern whether the behaviour they're teaching is what we're to follow, or it's the opposite, that we have to learn not to follow them, because that's not the right path. So of course there's the guidelines, there's the spiritual master to follow, and the Shastra has guidelines to follow. To see that we as humans, we have that tendency to deviate. So we having examples of deviation, devotees that are so supposedly deviated, is that path. Or if you go down that path, then here's the result. So your comments. I hope you heard that all right. Anyone got any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you for the exposition of these two verses. Yeah, what you quoted from Bhagavad Gita is so nice that this is just for the people like us. The great devotees are setting example, so we don't get in the same trap. They are very, very exalted. So Bharat Maharaj was already in the Bhava stage. And just to teach us, like you mentioned about the Yudhishthira Maharaj, he was a very exalted devotee, but just by gambling, he lost everything. So they are teaching by the example. So we should not imitate them. Just we can follow in the good instructions. So this is a very instructive katha. Thank you for sharing it, Mati. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
Anybody else? We still got a few minutes. Anybody like to share their realization, reflections?
Hare Krishna Madhavi, thank you very much for the very nice class. Thank you once again. And particularly sitting the points. And as Nandavaja Prabhu has told, each one of us has a different stage of our devotional service. We are in different stages placed, and we should not try to imitate Bharat Maharaj, but we should start from where we are. And that is the best way to advance, because if we try to follow the instruction of our spiritual master and other Vaishnavas, we can elevate ourselves from that position. But if we try to imitate the positions of the great devotees, that is not our position. We should understand that. And we should start where we are, and that is the best way to advance. And we should always be guided in this regard. We are guided by our spiritual master, and he knows where we are, and depending on our situation, he instructs us accordingly. So better we should follow the instruction of our spiritual master and consult our senior devotees at the time when spiritual master is not available. So in this way, we can make our progress without intervention, without difficulties, because if we try to imitate someone, we'll put ourselves in a danger. So the best way is to follow our instruction of spiritual master and start where we are. So that is my realization. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Yes, good point. Very good point. Anyone else like to share before we finish?
Let us simply do this. So we end here. Thank you very much.
कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। और ग्रेस हाना माता जी की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदी। हरि हरि बोल।